Hey guys, in this episode, I'm going to share with you my 5 top tips for investing in buy-to-let property. People make mistakes left, right and centre. People buy lemons, people lose money in buy-to-let property. This is one of the saddest things people do. People procrastinate buying their first buy-to-let property or their 10th buy-to-let property for years and years and years. And the problem is they do that because they don't want to make a mistake. Well, the irony behind that is by not investing for years and years and years, they are making a mistake. They're losing money. It's called opportunity cost. So my 5 top tips for how you should invest in buy-to-let property. Number 1 is buy direct from the vendor. Don't go to Rightmove. Don't go to an estate agent. Those guys are advertising those properties at retail. We want to buy our properties wholesale, and you can only do that by negotiating directly with the vendor. One of my clients, a guy called David, he bought a property last week, completed on this property for £40,000. It was valued by the bank at £120,000. That's a 66% discount from a RICS valuation. Unbelievable, and only possible because he has negotiated directly with the vendor. Secondly, only buy positively cash flowing properties. Robert Kiyosaki says that an asset must put money in your pocket every single month. There are only 2 ways you lose money in property. The first is by buying wrong at the start, and the second is by becoming a forced seller at the end. If you can avoid both of those, if you can buy right and never have to sell in a hurry, you will make money from property. There's no 2 ways about it. And the best protection against having to sell in a hurry is to have money coming out of your assets every single month, making sure you're cash flowing positively from each of your buy-to-let investments. That's my second tip. My third tip is don't spend your time doing a £10 an hour task, i.e. managing your property, checking the tenants have paid each month, sorting out maintenance issue on the property, etc., because those are £10 an hour tasks when you should be investing your time in £1,000 an hour tasks, which are in negotiating on the properties, finding your next deal and actually buying those. So use a letting agent who will manage your property for 8% of the gross rent, 10% of the gross rent. That can be 30, 40, 50, 60 pounds a month, freeing you up to carry on building your portfolio. So that's my third tip. Use a letting agent, leverage your time and buy more properties. Number 4, buy now. Do not procrastinate over buying your next buy-to-let property. Don't try and time the market. Oh, it might go down in March, it might go down. But what happens if it gets extended? Oh, well, now I'll wait another 6 months and wait for that. No, just buy now. The Chinese say, I've used this metaphor before, this saying before, I love it. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, and what the Chinese say is the second best time is right now. Now is the best time to start your property investing. If you've bought properties before, brilliant, but now is the best time to buy your next property investment. Do not worry about the market dropping, because if the investment is paying you every single month, why would you sell it? And we know that over time properties are going to go up because we live on an island, we're not creating any more land, but the population is growing, the need for properties is growing all the time. And so if you look back at over the last 10 years, the last 100 years, property prices go up over time, which is why you should buy now rather than waiting, because if you wait, you're probably going to end up paying more for the same property in the future. Number 5, my 5th and final tip is do not refurb your buy-to-let property unless it is absolutely necessary. Now, what is absolutely necessary? If it's unsafe, you need to refurb it. If it's not going to comply with regulations, or if it's so rough that you can't find a tenant for it, then you need to do some work on it. But people overspec their refurbishments all the time. They fall in love with grand designs. They fancy themselves as a bit of an interior decorator. They look at homes under the hammer and they go, oh, I could do that. My most profitable properties, I've done nothing to them. I have simply bought them, advertised them, moved a tenant in, and then I make as much of a return on those properties as is possible. As soon as you start spending money on a refurb, you are putting 100% of your money into that refurb, which means that your return is dropping. Let me give you an illustration. You buy a property for £100,000 and you think about whether you should do a £5,000 refurb or not. It's lettable in its condition at £100,000, but should I spend £5,000 or not? Most people, 9 out of 10 investors that I come across will say, well, I'll be able to get a bit more rent for the property if I spend 5 grand on it. And 5 grand's only 5% on 100, so I will spend that money. Do you know what? That's the biggest mistake. And in my next video, the ROI triangle, the return on investment triangle, easy for me to say, I will explain to you why that is such a big mistake, why you should not be spending £5,000 on the refurb in my next video. Guys, if you enjoy this content, if you want to know more about how to invest in property, then hit the notification bell, click the subscribe button, and I will see you on an episode soon. God bless.